My name is Gerald Walton. I'm an associate professor in the Faculty of Education at Lakehead University. And the focus of my research is, broadly speaking, social justice education. So my personal road was a bit of a rocky one. I decided to go into my undergrad at the age of 28, and I didn't have a clue what I was going to be doing with my life, with my education. I didn't know anything. I didn't know I'd eventually become a prof. Furthermore, I was really confused about my life. I was confused about my identity, my gender identity, my sexuality identity, confused about all of that. I came out of a childhood that had a lot of experiences in school with bullying. So by the time I decided to go back to school, I was very, very confused. And without really knowing it fully at the time, I decided that my post-secondary experience was going to be a way of figuring all that stuff out. And so I took courses in, for example, sociology of sexuality, women's studies, gender studies, a whole bunch of others. And what that did for me was give me a language to be able to describe my experience and also to understand for the very first time in my life that it wasn't my fault. I decided after my undergrad to do a master's, and I kind of continued that line of inquiry. And I did not have any plans or desire to do a PhD at the time, but I eventually went back and I decided to study bullying. And that too was a way of figuring myself out, right? I wanted to sort of dig deeper into the experience and understand it better, develop a language for it. And that eventually brought me here to Lakehead. What drew me to my current research is my own personal experience and wanting to investigate that further. And so it's not so much a study of me, but it's a recognition that there's things that I experienced in education that I know other students experience as well. I can see it in my classrooms even. And it's that kind of observation coupled with the experience that I had that leads me to want to explore some issues more deeply. So what I'm looking at right now is the topic of fear, and what I've observed in my classrooms and that I experienced as well in just about every single semester that I was a student was that students come into, a lot of students, not all of them maybe, but a lot of them come into the classroom and they're a ball of anxiety. They don't know what to expect, they don't know why they're there, they don't think that they should be there, they're not capable, and those are all of the things that I experienced as a student every single semester. And the higher I got up on the academic ladder, insofar as being a student goes, the more anxious I got, because I continually thought that, okay, this is the semester that I'm going to be exposed as the fraud that I am. And it never really happened, but the anxiety also never really went away. So I teach classes now, and I teach grad classes now, PhD classes as well, and I see this in front of me, except that nobody wants to show it. And of course I didn't want to show it either, but nobody really wants to show it. And so there's this classroom of students, and especially at the beginning of the term, it's all quite awkward, it's all kind of, strange feeling for everybody, but it's not just because we don't know each other, it's because many people are thinking, I'm a fraud and I really shouldn't be here, and everybody else in the room is smarter than I am. I have been exploring how that happens, why that happens, and what role that fear has in educational experiences and achievement, really. But I've also been interested in how fear can be a prime motivator in people achieving things. So I've experienced a lot of fear in my life, everybody has, and in some aspects, in some ways, it is the fear that actually drove me to do the things that I feared. And so I've done a fair amount of interviews with people who responded to my inquiry, I guess, about how fear can be a motivator and a kind of guide that this is what I need to do. This is what I'm fearing, so this is what I'm going to do, rather than running away from it and not doing it all. Because to me anyway, that's how achievement happens. You kind of have to face that. And it's not about getting over fear or conquering fear. It's more about using the energy of that fear to kind of do something. It sounds so corny to say, but education really can and does change lives, as it did with me. And so not only do I want my teaching to do that, but I also want my research to kind of mirror that and reflect that in some capacity. So the fear research that I'm doing right now is all about that. How did you, as in a participant, manage to work with fear as opposed to against it, to come into the classroom or to challenge yourself to do an undergrad or to do a grad degree or whatever the case? Like how did you actually do that? And that to me is a life-changing kind of process. It is about people changing their lives, and I've wanted to sort of capture at least some elements of that. It's very, very exciting. Yeah, I have such a great job. I'm the kind of academic who likes to get his work out into the world as opposed to just strictly narrow academic community and audiences, right? So I do the academic thing. I go to academic conferences and I publish in academic journals and all that stuff. But what I have a lot of passion for, and what I really prefer doing actually, is to take what I do and what I found into other kinds of communities. And so whether that's schools or the general population or community groups or whatever the case may be, that's a real benefit for me. I love doing that. And I seize any opportunity to do that. So wanting more people to hear about what it is I'm doing, maybe as a way of inspiring them or having them think in a different way, or be challenged by a perspective or a question that I've taken up in the research that I do, something like that. So that's how I like to kind of make it more meaningful in the world, I guess, rather than just the confines of academia. If there's students out there in the world who are interested in the programs we have, then they can go to the Faculty of Education website, or they can contact the Faculty of Education at Lakehead University in some way and read more about it, call some people, call some of the faculty members whose research interests them, and start that ball rolling that way.